Ashe, Ashe. I'm going rising to you all once again, my very beautiful people. Yes, you, my highly enriched melanin people, you, the Earth's original and organic humans, aka my fellow Africans. It is I, the Mystic Philosopher, and yes, it is very evident that I'm still here with you on this side of reality another time. And welcome back to the Mystic Peace, talking again on the 15 minutes with I, the Mystic Philosopher. And yes, this is episode 37. Now, the main topic of this series of talks is stress on the mind, or more correctly, the impact that this thing called stress has on the thing that we humans call mind. And from I, the Mystic Philosopher's perspective, the solution to this problem, or the solution to this disease called stress, can or it may be found in and by understanding, understanding, and overstanding the want equation. Namely, want is equal to money, which is also equal to stress, which is equal to unhappiness. And also by putting into practice the knowledge that can be gained from this profound equation. And the quote that I am using and have been using to make and prove my point and to illustrate my points is from the 23rd Psalm of the Adamic Race History and Holy Book. And verse 1, the Lord is my shepherd and I shall not want. So at the end of the last talk, episode 36, I told you that the Adamic Race History and Holy Book, aka the Christian Holy Bible, is not our book, which from my perspective should be more than obvious to any thinking human. But unfortunately, some of you, my listeners, have taken serious offense to me telling you and explaining to you the fact that it is not your book, that it is not my book, that it is not our book, period. I also told you that the Adamic God, the Adamic saviors, prophets, angels, demons, and devils, etc., that are mentioned and are written about in it are not ours. Meaning, if you are a natural, native, earthly human, aka the Earth's original, the Earth's organic and highly melaninated humans, aka an African with activated common sense, then you would know that this book is not ours, and it does not matter what version, which versions, or what versions you may lay claim to. It is not ours, period. I told you that within the Adamic Race History and Holy Book are to be found their laws, the Adamic laws, their commandments, their commands, their precepts, their statutes, and their testimonies for them to obediently adhere to and to follow. I also told you that these are all not one and the same thing, that they each has their own distinct meaning, their own distinct definition and characteristics. Meaning, in the strictest sense of the word, and especially as it relates to the book, a law is definitely, a law is different from a statute, a precept, and a testimony. And I also took the time out and gave you the dictionary's definition and meaning of each of these words. And without getting into much more detail, I also mentioned the word Torah and the Pentateuch as they relate to the word law and to the first 5 books of the Adamic Race History and Holy Book. Now, and for your information, the word Torah and the word Pentateuch is known as the law. And please note that it is not just one word. It is not known as law, but it is known as the law. And the law is known as the first 5 books of the Adamic Race History and Holy Book, aka the Christian Holy Bible. And within the law, or within the Torah, aka the Pentateuch, the law, meaning the first 5 books of the Bible, are to be found laws, commands, commandments, statutes, precepts, and testimonies. In other words, all the rest of the scriptures that are compiled within the entire book are based on that which are to be found in the first 5 books. This also includes that which is called the New Testament. In other words, the New Testament and all of the other books of the Old Testament are established upon the Torah, and thus it is written in the book that and I quote, to the law and to the testimony, if they speak not in accordance or not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them. That is found in the book called Isaiah 8 and verse 20. And at the end of my talk, I also told you that from my perspective and for your information, the phrase "I shall not want" that is found within the first verse of the 23rd Psalm is not just a general statement or a general testimony for a comforting and for a feel-good song or a feel-good psalm that was given to the Adamic race and races by their gods and prophets, etc., to be read before going to sleep or to sing at funerals, etc. But that it is a strict command, an instruction, a divine order, if you will, to the Adamic race and the Adamic races. And by extension, it is a commandment, meaning an order of the mind and an order in the mind. And just for the record and also for emphasis, please let me again read for you the definitions of the words command and commandments. Number one, command by meaning and definition is to, and I quote, give an authoritative order. Number two, commandment, as it pertains to the Adamic race history and holy book, a commandment is by definition, by meaning and definition, and I quote, a divine rule, especially one of the 10 commandments, unquote. Also from another dictionary, and I quote, commandment, one, the act or power of commanding, and two, something that is commanded, especially one of the biblical 10 commandments, unquote. Now, from my perspective, a lot of you, my own melanin, my own African people that have laid claim to the Adamic God and his people's holy book, and a lot of you, if not all of you, that are laying claim to the Adamic race and the Adamic race's God and their history and holy book. And as a result of your claims, you are observing their day of rest, aka their Sabbath day. And as a result of your observance of their Sabbath, you are now professing and proclaiming to be keeping and practicing the Adamic God's law. Some of you have even gone as far as to call yourselves the law keepers. But regrettably and unfortunately, because of your ignorance of the law, what you all do not know is that keeping the Adamic God and his people's Sabbath alone is not keeping the law of the Adamic race God. The law meaning the Torah or the Pentateuch. And yes, what you all don't know is that observing the Sabbath alone is not observing the law, but that it is only observing one of the 10 principles of the law. Or if you prefer, the observance of the Adamic God and his people's Sabbath is only the observance of one of the 10 principles of the law, which is his law. One of the 10 principles of the Torah or the 10 principles of the Pentateuch. In other words, what you do not know is that the 10 commandments is not the law. In fact, and from my perspective, and activated common sense alone should tell you or tell us that there is a reason why it is called the 10 commandments and not the 10 laws. But that it is only the 10 principles of the law, only the 10 principles of the Torah. Or to further simplify it, if you are not observing all that is written within the first 5 books of the Adamic race, history and holy book, then you are not really observing the law. You're not really observing the Adamic God's law. Yes, you might be a commandment keeper. You might be a Sabbath keeper. You might even be some commandments keeper. But definitely not the law keeper or the law keepers as far as the Adamic God and his people are concerned. And finally, for now, what you all don't know is that the only times that you, my melanin, my African people, are required to use wisdom and observe the Adamic God and his people's law, aka the Torah or the Pentateuch, and possible all the other laws that are derived from it, are as follows. Number one, it is for our survival in their captivity and while under their slavery, abuse, and oppression, etc. Meaning, It is if or when our life and the life of our ascendants, our youths, are dependent on us doing so. And number two, it is by force, meaning if or when we are under threat, under duress, under coercion, under compulsion, under constraint, etc., by them. Simply put, it is when we are under the wicked and torturous hands and influence of them, the Adamic race and races. Number three, it is if or when you are in and under their domain, when you are in or under the dominance and in or under their control, if or when you are mentally, spiritually, psychologically, and physically conquered and subdued by them. And by default, you have become their sheep, their subjects, and their slaves. Number four, it is if or when you knowingly and willfully forsake your own heritage, your own bloodline, if or when you deny our most honorable African ancestors and our ancestral source and sources, meaning our ancestral mighty ones, our ancestral God and Goddess, if you will, and have become a slave to the Adamic God, and by extension, subjects, slaves, subjects and slaves to his people. And those are the circumstances that I can currently think of under which you are required or forced to observe and worship the Adamic God, his people, and his laws. However, for some of us today, as it was for some of us, some of our most honorable ancestors, death before dishonor. So right now, instead of a song, please let me quickly share a little of my semi-dub poetry skills with you. This one is called I Can Remember. I can remember when. I am reminiscing, for I can remember when our melanin sisters used to encourage us, their strong melanin men, to be in the know and to do almost everything nice and slow. To give it slow, to take it slow, to walk slow, to dance slow, even to talk smooth and slow. To take our time and just let it flow, let it flow, let it flow. I can remember when I was young and almost ready and always ready to rock steady, easy, and will and ready to get busy. And sisters would tell me, no need to rush, D. No need to hurry. I can still remember when our sisters would cherish most those of us brothers, if or when we were able to take our time and do everything slow. Yes, I can remember when I was young and hasty and our sisters would quote the Pointer's Sisters song to me. I want a man with a slow hand. I want a lover with an easy touch. I want somebody who will spend some time, not come and go in a heated rush. I want somebody who will understand when it comes to love. I want a man with a slow hand. Unquote. But today, I am being told that people don't have much time, and whatsoever I do, I must do it quickly. So all you, my melanin sisters, be assured by the time the Mystic Philosopher is done sharing with you, you shall want no more. And to all you, my critics, that say I am boring, I am going too slow, I want you to know that I can spit lyrics and talk through ticks and make you hold this. Again, thus far in today's episode, I honestly think that I have given you, or at the very least, I honestly think that I may have given some of you, if not all of you, a lot to think about and possibly a lot more to look forward to in my next episode, especially as it relates to the words law, Torah, Pentateuch, commandments, precepts, statutes, and testimonies, etc., as found in the Adamic race, history, and holy book, aka the Christian Holy Bible. And so in the interest of time, and doing it quickly, I think that I should just pause here for today and ask that you please join me if or when next I'm talking again in episode 38, where and when I will be talking more about the words command and commandments and the disease called want, as I continue to share my perspectives on this quote from the Adamic race, history, and holy book. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. which I am only using as a reference just to make my points. So please stay tuned, for I shall not want, you shall not want, and nor shall you or nor shall we be found wanting. In the meantime and between time, please let me again quickly remind you, my people, that yesterday is history. It too is dead and gone, no more to come back. Tomorrow is a mystery. It too may never come, but today is a gift, which is why we call it the present day. And so I hereby implore you, I'm imploring you to live for today. By live I mean to claim your natural birthright. And just in case you do not know, or you may have forgotten what your natural birthright is your happiness. So full joy today, and let's hope for tomorrow, for it too may never come, for you or for I. Thanks for your time, and thanks for listening. I am the Mystic Philosopher, under 15. Ashe, 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 Ayase.